Engineer versus Designer is brought to you by the Mojo 3D printer. Now you can have 3D printing right at your desktop at a remarkably low cost. With the magic of Mojo, there's really no limit to your creativity. See it at mojo3dprinting.com.
Okay, so before we get started, Adam is going to read an email that he and I received this week.
Dear Adam and Josh, my name is Grayson. I'm a senior in high school, and I'll be applying to colleges soon. I know I don't need to know, just like everybody says, but I'm really conflicted as to whether I want to try to go into industrial design or mechanical engineering.
Should be obvious.
Dun, dun, dun. And I'd like to get a little input from you guys. So, I scored a 2030 on my SAT with a 710 in math, and math has always been a strong suit of mine.
Indeed.
Obviously. So part of me would love to be engineering things that make the world tick, whether they're cars or infrastructure. But I also love the arts, mostly design though. And so for a while I was set on graphic design. My dilemma is trying to figure out if I could do both or if I need to specialize. Now here's a really fun sentence. My brother is a physics and aeronautical engineering double major at MIT, and he thinks that engineers can do everything designers can do and make them work.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap. My biggest wish is that I'm doing something meaningful and interesting, and sometimes it seems like industrial designers specialize at making chairs. But anyways, I'd love to hear whatever input you guys have on my position.
Grayson, man, this letter in so many ways is the best thing anyone has ever sent us.
So freaking good.
So good that we wanted to devote an entire episode to it.
And not just any episode, people. This is episode 52.
E52 for life.
Which means that this episode caps off one full year of EvD.
It's her birthday.
August 1st, 2011 was the very first episode
a year.
of EvD with Aldine way back in the day.
Dang
And this guy caps off that one full year.
Beyond belief. Welcome to Engineer versus Designer.
The podcast.
Product designers, engineers, and anyone who's sick and tired of chair designs. My name is Josh.
My name is Adam.
This week we're speaking with high school senior Grayson Twigg about choosing between engineering and industrial design as a profession.
Josh, are you ready for this, man?
E52, baby. Let's do it.
Kick it.
Grayson, if you could become a world champion boiled egg eater, the undisputed champion of the world, eating more boiled eggs than any other human who has or will ever live on the planet Earth, but in order to do that, you could only eat boiled eggs for the rest of your life, would you do it?
No. A resounding no. I hate hard-boiled eggs.
All right, that's good. That's good. All right, so first of all, Grayson, you're a high school senior. You tell us. Does that make you 18 years old? Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
I'm
I
17.
think. Oh, you're 17. Okay.
Yeah, I'm 17 going into my senior year.
Oh, going into your senior year. Okay, so you're just finishing your junior year. Excellent.
Right,
So
right.
I think most 17-year-olds know roughly about engineering, at least vaguely what it is. But I don't think a lot of them know what industrial design is. I was surprised that you did. Where did you find out that field existed?
So I have two older brothers. So it was like I had friends who were all going through all this college stuff and applying to colleges. But it was always a little easier for me because I sort of had these two, like, you need to do this, sort of to get your eye on what colleges are and what you need to look out for. And so I guess it was this spring, actually. I went on a big East Coast college trip. We visited like 5 schools. And the last school we visited was Carnegie Mellon University.
Uh-huh.
And I was sort of going for graphic design because I always liked math, and I sort of thought, well, what I liked about math was sort of the problem-solving aspect of it. And I really liked art, but I just didn't think I would be that happy just sort of being a studio artist or anything like that. So I figured I would look into graphic design, and I heard Carnegie Mellon had a good program. So I went there, and then they introduced us to how they have like a foundation year, and at the end of that, you either pick communications design, which is what they called graphic design, or industrial. And the guys on our tour, one was industrial and one was communications. And the industrial guys sort of told us about how they work with different companies like GM and
right.
all these other different companies and sort of learn how to market products and how to design them and make them.
All right. But here's the real question, Grayson. How did you find out about engineer versus designer?
Actually, so this is kind of a cool story. So I was in California recently because my mom's side of the family lives out there. And my brother works out there. He's making a startup company, and he needed to decide where he wanted to base his company, in San Francisco or somewhere in Colorado. So I was getting on a plane home a couple of weeks ago, and then he asked me if I wanted to go on this like sort of impromptu road trip with him. And I said, sure. And then so he went to MIT and got a double major in physics and aeronautical engineering. And so he was, he's a little bit biased towards engineering.
Yep.
So we were just hashing stuff out, and he was talking about, I was sort of pitching industrial design to him, I guess. Not that I know much about it, but pitching what I knew about it and showing him these design websites that I had found and come across. And he was like, those are really cool. But because he's an engineer, he's looking at some of these things, and he's like, but you could never build that.
Right.
So then I was sort of like researching stuff, and then I sort of started leaning towards him because I was just kind of like, well, I get what he's saying. So he sort of was pitching to me that engineers, from his perspective, could make everything, and then if they had a good design eye, they could sort of make it marketable. They might not learn all the same things, but they might know how to do a little bit different stuff.
Yeah.
So then we both just sort of started researching, looked up people, if there's anybody before who had done mechanical engineering and design. And so I just typed in mechanical engineering, industrial design, and this was one of the first things that popped up. So
Awesome.
I figured, what the hell?
Hooray
Send you guys an email.
hooray for search engine optimization. That's great. All right. So based on what you have learned so far, based on your research you've done, how would you differentiate engineering and design? What would you say is the difference between the two?
Engineering, I feel like, from the curriculums I've looked at, is all learning all the math first, learning how to learning how to do all the math, basically, and learning manufacturing and stuff like that. And then design, I figure it looked like was mostly learning how to market to people, what people liked, and then learning how to design to those things, and learning how to, I guess, just sort of form things that were aesthetically pleasing, but were still could still be useful.
Right.
And I guess
I think that's a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah, good wrap up.
So Josh and I are going to read you a series of questions. We've actually put something together here, and this is going to determine factually, without a doubt, whether you are in fact an engineer or a designer.
It's the EvD Cosmo quiz here, right?
Yeah, and there are 10 questions on this EvD Cosmo quiz. We're gonna keep the answers pretty short, though. Okay, so we'll just kind of blow through these. So question number 1.
Right, here we go. If you were going to be trapped on a desert island for the rest of your life, but you had a workshop full of tools and materials, what would you build? It's not multiple choice.
That's a tough one. Well, I guess I would try and build some sort of distress thing or some sort of thing that would get me off the island.
Something to get off that island.
Not like a color palette or a beautifully shaped jacuzzi.
All right, so here's your question second, Grayson. Second question, Grayson. Why are Ferraris red?
Because red is an awesome color. I have no idea.
All right, good.
What's the world's largest object?
I have no idea, but my brother was telling me about some clock that was supposed to last a million years or something that they're building in Texas.
All right.
So I have
big
no
clock in
idea.
Texas. I would think, well, that's good.
Texas
that's good.
is big.
What would you say is your
Texas might be the biggest object.
Question number 4. What's your favorite object?
I'd either have to say a house or my laptop. I feel like they're both pretty important and pretty useful.
Yeah.
Right on. If you were being attacked by a swarm of killer bees in an ice cream parlor, what would you do?
This is a good one.
Okay, this is a tough one. No, that would be a bad idea. I was going to say cover myself in ice cream, but I feel like that's probably a worse idea.
Might confuse
It's a
them,
creative solution, though. I didn't think of that. It's pretty good.
I would crawl inside the ice cream thing and just like cower. and cry.
Oh, lock yourself in the freezer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea. That's smart.
Yeah.
So what's the most yellow thing you've ever seen in real life?
The most yellow thing. I guess a dandelion. I don't know.
All right, good.
Wow, that is yellow. How many angry purple chickens does it take to squeeze the lemon juice out of a lollipop?
287.
Oh, so close.
Okay, good answer. What does fast look like?
I'm trying to imagine what an adverb looks like.
That's actually a good answer right there. Well, let's just move on. Josh.
Is bacon a vegetable?
No.
Okay,
it could
and
be.
Question number 10, the final question in your engineering versus design Cosmo quiz. Banana.
Eat it.
All right, there it is.
There you
That
go.
is the engineer versus designer Cosmo quiz. Good work.
So here's the thing. Actually, this test, convincing as it may seem, is not real at all.
It's not a real
At
thing. No.
Nope. In no way will it help you.
Yeah, but we do have a few thoughts for you, Grayson, that we have on your situation. First of all, thought number A. Your brother seems like a really smart guy. I like him already. We have no doubt about that. But we do think that the idea that an engineer can do everything a designer can do and make it work, as you said in your email, is a little bit misguided.
Adam and I both disagree with that to an extent. And further, we put the question out to our huge Twitter follower list and to see what they our listeners thought. And pretty much nobody, designer or engineer, agree with that statement.
The fact is, it kind of depends on the person, really. You know, some people can do both engineering and design, but that doesn't make them better than people who specialize, right? Specializing is great. It lets us do things that we couldn't do if we were all generalists. So that's our first thought.
Right on. Well, thought number B, engineer versus designer. The name, it's sort of ironic. We don't actually fight. And as it turns out, Adam and I are friends, believe it or not. And we both like to make stuff. It's pretty much as simple as that.
We kind of think the whole notion that engineers and designers are totally separate is kind of silly.
Right.
We know designers who can swing a wrench.
Yep, I know engineers who have pencil mustaches and French accents, as a matter of fact.
That's true. You could definitely do both. And thought C, industrial design, as we know it, didn't really exist until about 100 years ago. It was kind of invented in the early 20th century.
Right.
Engineering, as we know it, wasn't really around but another 50 or 100 years before that.
Yeah, for the previous 100, 200,000 years of human history, people lived perfectly happy, normal lives without knowing what the difference, or even if there was a difference between engineer or design.
And so we just think humans are curious. We ask big questions. We try to make things that we've never made before. And that's kind of what we do as people. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
So thought number Z, that whole thing about do something you love and never work a day in your life is completely bogus. Work is work. And sometimes work just plain sucks. If you go to engineering as a profession, some days you're just going to hate it.
And if you're a designer, some days you're going to want to shove pencils into your eye sockets. But overall, the best you can do is just choose things that you think are meaningful and interesting, whether that's engineering or design or being a garage mechanic.
So, I know, Grayson, that doesn't answer your question at all, but hopefully we muddied the waters a little bit for you.
I mean, I would say the main thing to me is just listen to that little Smurf voice inside your belly. And if he gets all excited and does backflips when you look at design schools, then
punch
follow
him
there.
repeatedly. Punch him. And if he gets happy when you do matrix algebra, engineering might be the place for you.
Yeah, if you're happy doing both things, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. And I think there are places out there that do offer both. You can get the mix, for sure.
All right. Well, thanks a whole lot for your time. And I really... This was awesome because I knew I wasn't going to find like a clear-cut answer anywhere, and I don't really want one.
Yeah.
But this was really awesome just to get sort of a feel of what both fields would be like.
I just had another thought. I'll pass on some advice that my dad gave me, and he actually gave me something, a little picture along with this. He said, go out and get your Swiss Army knife of a degree. And I had this picture of this big, fat old Swiss Army knife. hanging in my my dorm room the whole time I was there at college, and it always reminded me, make sure you get that Swiss Army knife that you can use after you get out of college. Multiple things that you can do, not just one little tool. No matter what you do, you're gonna be getting that Swiss Army knife of a degree. So, yeah, go after it, man.
And frankly, you know what? College is a jumping off point. It's not
Right.
It's not the end, right? Like Josh and I both. Josh isn't doing engineering right now. I'm, I'm not doing design as I talk to you right now. We're kind of, you do all kinds of different things in your life, and your life goes different directions. So don't think that just because you choose one major or the other means that you're locked in. So.
Definitely.
For sure.
All right, Grayson. Well, thanks so much for your time today. It was good to talk to you.
Thank you. This was awesome. This was a really awesome opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, have a good one. So, first of all, Josh, I got to say, this kid impressed me for sure. I really wish more kids were as enthusiastically intellectually curious as Grayson
Yeah, that he's going out and actually asking people in the industry what's up is great. That he asked us is questionable. That he's getting some more advice is probable and highly advised.
Well, if you'd like to send enthusiastically intellectually curious youngsters to EvD HQ, you will regret that. Don't do it. Yeah. If you'd like to see us roll down giant craggy cliffs in wooden barrels, head over to EngineerVsDesigner.com and let us know.
Also, be sure to like us, +1 us, tweet us, or whatever else because Adam has agreed to put a wax strip across his hairy legs for each of those this week and rip them off at the end of the week.
That is absolutely not true, and it will not happen. However, the show was edited by Simon Martin. Our theme music is by Ross Hartman.
We'll see you next week, and remember, baked beans are a food, not an entire diet or a weapon.
They are delicious.
No doubt.
All right.
Look out! Engineer vs. Designer is brought to you by Mojo 3D Printer, a world-class professional 3D printer for only $185 a month. To find out how you can give your big idea a little mojo, visit mojo3dprinting.com.
A production of EvD Media.